Hello everybody, 𝗧𝗛𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗦, aka Camden here today, and welcome to another episode of Minecraft with Camden. In the last episode, we built our first home here beside this great big beautiful lake, but shortly after, we stumbled across this, an interdimensional rift. Well, now I've got the idea to build a watchtower on the opposite side of the lake where we can safely observe and study this rift from afar. Now, I'm not saying something dangerous could come through the rift, but, you know, there's a chance, and we need to be prepared. Well, I was hoping for some nicer weather, you guys, so I could show off this watchtower, but it seems like it is a rainy day here by the lake. It's alright, we could use some rain. But yeah, the watchtower is done. We have a great view of the rift all the way over there. We can also see our house from here, and I mean, we can kind of see the starter campsite, but honestly, this is just a great spot to view the lake as a whole. I really like how this turned out. Now, let me see if I can climb down here. I'm going to have to hurry through the rain to try and not get wet. I'm going to have to go a little bit of a ways so I can get a good view of this watchtower to give y'all a good idea of what it looks like, the shape of it and all that. How is this? No, we got a tree blocking it right there. Oh, hold on. Okay, I've managed to find some cover underneath this tree over here and in a good spot so y'all can see the shape of this thing better. We've got some dark oak wood down at the bottom of this watchtower to make it look like a little bit of shadow has been cast. I told y'all in the last episode that in some of my builds at the start of this series, I kind of want to work on gradients, and it doesn't look as convincing as like the gradient that I did on the walls over at my starter house. But I think it's good for the most part. And if it doesn't look like shadow, maybe it's like stains wood or something like that. Then up top, we've got a lot of foliage kind of growing on the sides of it. Lots of spruce leaves, birch leaves, and vines to make it look like, you know, this thing has been here a while. I didn't want it to look just plopped down and out of place. I wanted it to feel actually at home here in the taiga forest. And yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say about it. I've got a nice little flag flying up top. And it just gives us a good view of that rift that we need to study, because if y'all didn't check out the last episode, well, first of all, go check that out. It was a super fun video to make, and I think y'all will enjoy it. But yeah, if y'all remember, I kind of gave y'all a spiel about my history in this world, and I actually have a lot of experience with rifts like this. They actually connect to other worlds in the Minecraft multiverse, meaning at some point something is coming through that rift, whether it's a structure or a person or I don't know what. So we need to keep an eye on it, make sure nothing dangerous comes here to the lake, and if something friendly comes here to the lake, then we need to be sure we're here to help whoever comes through find their way back home. But yeah, it's still fairly new, freshly opened. We should have a few more weeks before any signs of life start to come through. So for now, we're just going to leave it be, and today I have a project that I want to work on. Fortunately, somewhere underground, so we can kind of get away from this rain. But yeah, we're going to the Axolotl Sanctuary. Let's go. Cannonball! Oh my goodness, I love doing that. Welcome to the Axolotl Sanctuary, or rather, what I imagine was once an Axolotl Sanctuary. All that remains now is a hollow cave and two great big doors, serving as the only suggestion that a great temple once lay behind them. Today, I want to restore this ruins to its once former glory. And seeing as my mind connects to this room as well, I'd like to integrate a storage system into the design to help me better organize the resources that I bring back from my mining adventures. Oh man, we got a lot of work ahead of us, guys. This room is very bare bones at the moment, and I've just been using it as like an empty room to store all of my, mining resources that I've gotten from both underground here at the lake, but also from the nether and from the ends and even an ocean monument. That's right. Since the last episode, I did a live stream where the goal of the live stream was actually to go visit that desert temple that I told you about in the last episode that I found, and I was going to do some archaeology. But then we got a little carried away. We ended up finding a bunch of ocean ruins, and we found a mesa and a mangrove swamp, finally. I've been looking for a mangrove swamp forever. But then we found 2 ocean monuments. We only raided 1, but I did manage to bring back a little bit of prismarine. We're going to have to go again in the future and try to turn it into a guardian farm. But yeah, that's a project for another day. Today, our main goal is to build up this temple and to store all of our blocks in a better place. But I wanted to do this in a little bit of a different fashion than I do most of my builds in my videos. Usually I will do a time lapse and, you'll see it sped up, a lot of sped up footage, and then I'll give you all a tour of what the build looks like. But that can get a little redundant at times, and seeing as this is just one room that I'm working on, that's going to be a really short time lapse, and it's going to make for a really short video. So I wanted to change up what I do, and instead today I wanted to give y'all a little breakdown of how I design my builds and how I decorate them, how I texture them, and maybe give y'all a little inspiration for your own builds. How does that sound? You like that? Building with Cam Step 1. Functionality. I try to make most of my big builds in Minecraft have a purpose of some kind. Sometimes they conceal ugly redstone contraptions, sometimes farms, or in this case, a storage system. I start by planning the functional elements of the build rather than the build itself, because in doing so, I get a good sense of the scale of the build and the space that I have to work with. Alrighty, so I've got all of the storage system installed, and I got a bunch of blocks on the outside of all these columns of chests representing what's being stored where. And then over here, I've also already put in the super smelter. And real quick, I just want to give y'all a little tour of the super smelter and show y'all how easy it is to build one of these things. Because for years, I was too afraid to build one because the name super smelter made me think it was some great redstone contraption that was going to be super hard to build. But no, it's so easy. Take a look at this. If you go through the wall right here, it's literally just 2 tracks of hoppers and minecart hoppers. Basically, this chest on the right is the input chest for stones or ores, whatever it is you're smelting. It will immediately deposit all of the input items into this hopper minecart, which will go along the track and evenly distribute all of the items into all of these furnaces. And then the chest on the left here does the exact same thing, but with your fuel source. So and most of the fuel that I use is charcoal, but you could also use bamboo, coal, stuff like that. You insert it into this chest, goes down, and the exact same thing happens. Although if you are building one of these, make sure that your stone track is going to be the one where the hoppers are going directly into the top of these furnaces, and then the fuel source have hoppers that go directly into the back of the furnace. Otherwise, it won't get automatically plugged into the furnace, and it's a whole ordeal. I had to troubleshoot that when I was making this for the first time. But yeah, super easy. We will never come back here unless we need to troubleshoot things. Basically, we just put our input items up in those chests, flick this lever, that light turns on so we know that the system is running. The carts start moving, and all of our resources, after they are smelted, will be deposited in this chest at the bottom. Super easy. But now it's time to move on to step 2, shape. Once the functional elements have been built, I then start to build a bare bones shell around them. This gives me a good idea of what the general form of the build will be without getting too bogged down by the smaller details just yet, like block palettes, decorations, that sort of thing. Some people like to do this step using brightly colored wool or concrete blocks, but I personally just choose to use dirt or stone because in survival they're the easiest blocks to get. For this temple, I wanted to build 4 symmetrical structures marking the entrances to the mine, the nether, and the super smelter. I also made a little indent into the wall above the chests using andesite walls, and even set some marker blocks into them to indicate which wall of chests store which blocks. Lastly, I knew I wanted some water features in this build because this is a temple that homes axolotls after all. So I put some running water above each tunnel entrance as well as a pool in the center of the room where we can put some axolotls later on. And then with that done, I move on to step 3, texture. This step is a fun one for me. Here, I choose my block palette for the build and replace my temporary shaping blocks with blocks that give it more texture and color. Normally, it takes me a little while to find a block palette that I like, but choosing my block palette for this build in particular was pretty easy because I just went for your typical stone block variations, making sure to use a lot of stone bricks to give the room that ancient temple look. I made sure to leave some patches of stone and andesite here and there to make it look like the bricks are weathering away, and then I came back with some moss to make it look like the lush cave is slowly reclaiming this space. And finally, step 4, details. Although I find the previous step fun, I find this one to be my favorite. It's the step in the build process where I go through and add as many little decorations and accents to the build as I can. Sometimes it's as simple as putting cracks in the walls and floor to make it look like it's old and run down. Sometimes it's adding little bits of scaffolding and chests to make the space feel lived in. And sometimes it's just adding some splashes of color like with these green and magenta flowers, echoing the color palette of the lush cave while also breaking up a lot of the gray tones that make up the majority of this build. It all makes things just a little bit more interesting to look at. And last but not least, we needed a centerpiece in the center of the room to bring everything all together, and what better than a giant axolotl statue to do that. I used a tutorial from a creator named MegRae on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description to her build tutorial. It's a wonderful build, something I could never have made on my own. Although I did change the block palette just a little bit so that way it matched more of the other blocks that we had in the build, and also make it feel like it feels at home here in the Axolotl Sanctuary. And with that, we're all done. Man, oh man, guys, I really love this place. This is one of my favorite mine entrances that I've ever made in the game, and trust me, I've made a lot. So saying that this is in the top 3 is, you know, putting it pretty high. It's pretty good considering all of the mines that I've done in Minecraft. I just love how grandiose it feels, how big and wide the room is, how the leaves are coming back in, like the lush cave is reclaiming this space. I love the moss gradient. It's very, very slight, but I think it looks really good. Just the water features, this whole smelter area over here. I like the little redstone components being used as decoration. And of course, you know, it's super functional with all of the chests as well. It's just a great place overall. The one downside is that fish spawn in these streams of water. I didn't think that they could spawn in cascading water, but apparently so, and they aren't very good at staying in the water. They just flop out and instantly die, which is really sad. I wish there were a way to keep them in without having to put glass up, but there's no way. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to put up with it. Although I don't think the axolotls that live in here will mind. It's free food for them. And speaking of axolotls, I came prepared. I brought a water bucket and an anvil, and I am going to go try to find some axolotls, and we're going to name them and let them live inside of the sanctuary. Hello, I'm going to name you Inky. Boop. Your name is going to be Pinky. Bloop. Your name is Blinky. Bloop. And then your name is, of course, gonna be Clyde. Ta-da! 4 axolotls, 1 of each color, now living snugly in the Axolotl Sanctuary. But wait, you say, Camden, there are 5 axolotls in Minecraft. Where's the blue one? You'd be right. However, the blue one is a bit elusive. They're a bit harder to get. You can only get them by breeding axolotls together and hoping that they have a blue baby. And yeah, that might take some time to try and find. So maybe once an episode or once a stream, anytime I'm down here, I can feed these guys some tropical fish and hope that they might have a blue baby. Let's see if we can do it first try though. Here you are, Inky. And here you are, Clyde. Will we get a blue axolotl? Sir, we are trying to have a heartfelt family moment here. They are having a baby and you are interrupting them. Okay, I didn't see if one was born. Nope, that's Inky. That's Pinky. Did they have a baby axolotl? I don't see one. Okay, let's try this again then. Here you are, Pinky. And here you are, Clyde. Now will you have a baby? Maybe? Maybe? Oh, you did, but it was a pink one. That's alright, that's alright. It'll take time for us to get a blue baby, so who knows? Maybe in the next episode. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to do down here today, you guys. This has been such a fun build to make. It is going to extend a little bit down the mine tunnels. I've been working on trying to do some designs already to make the tunnels a bit more interesting to go down, like you're going down into the depths of this temple maybe a little bit. I kind of like this look here, how we've got the walls and the pillars kind of lining the sides, and then we have these little pokey holes of water cascading down. I would like to put some lichen in there maybe, just so that way there's a little bit more light in this tunnel. But I think ultimately it's nice. It doesn't need to be super complicated. It just needs to be a bit more interesting than your normal mining tunnel. But with that, I think it's about time to head back to the surface and we can go check out the rift and see if there's any new developments out there. Let's go. Alrighty, this here is a little trick that I learned a while back when I was still working with the rifters. With this satellite dish here and the equipment I have set up closer to the rift, I can hopefully tune this jukebox to the frequency emitted by the rift and get a recording of what's on the other side. You know, your normal redstone contraption. It's quite simple, really. That is, if I remembered the instructions correctly, but I'm sure it's fine. Let's give it a try. I'm just picking up on a lot of noise right now. I wonder if... Wait, no. I got something. Oh, dang it. I can hear the other side, but I must have left some parts out of the machine. It's all distorted. I don't know, can y'all make out what it is? If so, let me know, but for now I might just shut this down for today. I'll try again next episode. But with that, you guys, I think that is going to be it for today's episode. I'm so sorry it's taken so long to get episode 2 out since episode 1. You see, back when I released episode 1, it was still summer, and I still had a lot of free time. But now I'm back at school, back at college, and you know, life just gets busy. It'd be like that sometimes. So I'm so sorry I haven't been able to record it that often and get this episode out, but hopefully the wait was worthwhile. And pretty soon I will be back with episode 3, where we are building one of the coolest things that I think I've ever made in Minecraft, and that is going to be... Let me see if I can get up here. Back there. See that little clearing behind my head? I'll let y'all try to guess what it is we're going to be building back there. But that's going to be it from me, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Please be sure to like it if you liked it, share it if you liked it, and subscribe if you're new to the channel and want to see what comes through that rift very, very soon. Also, let me know what you guys think is going to come through the rift. I'm very curious to hear y'all's theories. But in the meantime, y'all have a wonderful rest of your days, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later, guys. Bye. 𝗓𝗏𝗏 is me out.